You move my book.
Yeah, exactly.
My
No.
book, I noticed.
But the one full of ballistics math? No.
I always put a page in some way. Put a little piece of paper and piece of paper on the floor.
You know, this is crazy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I always take piece of girlfriend's hair, lick it, put it on top of my painting tube because I, paranoid about my artwork. And if I see the hair gone because I've done this dozens of times, I know, my goodness, someone has been in my things. You wouldn't have happened to touch anything, would you? Like
that was the building supervisor came in. I think that was him.
You'd be like, damn, do you think maybe my girlfriend's been going through your shit?
If you don't think, I did hear my ex talking about this.
But the person who wrote that formula that is still used to this day was Hedy Lamarr, who was Howard Hughes' girlfriend. She was this incredible person. She was a model in Germany.
Show us a picture of Hedy Lamarr, by the way. It's important people know what this lady looked like.
Oh, yeah. She was like a model and a spy. She defected from Germany in some sort of like fancy James Bond type dinner party, comes to America. Not only is she beautiful and a model and a spy, she becomes Howard Hughes' girlfriend. She's like a genius engineer and like mechanical engineer. She developed one of the modern, like the airplane wing that kind of adjusts, like to kind of change the profile on the top for lift, the flaps, all that. She did stuff with the modern airplane wing. And Howard Hughes basically set her up in a lab, and she came up with
I was like, a woman who invented something, you've already lost me in this pile of lies.
Oh, no, but came up with a formula that is used to this day on these satellites with that, as you said, that practical application for adjusting for that time dilation. And yeah, she's awesome. I mean, what a striking person to, brains and beauty and all of that. But when she worked with Howard Hughes and his sort of skunk works, that was something she came up with, which was.
I bet if I was dating Howard Hughes at the time, I would have come up with something too. He would have handed me a couple
right here
discoveries.
Is the 4 ham sandwich. It's got 4 kinds of ham. All right, I know you can't fathom more than 3.
And I'm assuming this was in his billionaire playboy era, not the hiding out in the hotel, peeing in jars and saving its phase, like the slightly less crazy part of his life.
He was saving pee in jars?
Yeah, at some point, I believe he was holed up in some hotel somewhere and was peeing in jars and hoarding it and just doing all this really wacky stuff. Like the
original gamer
was bananas.
He played World of Warcraft.
Yeah, he was all into that.
Do you know about the Glomar Explorer?
Yes, but for their benefit.
Yeah. Of course, Taylor's all about it. So the CIA gets in contact with Howard Hughes, and they're like, "Hey, you're an eccentric billionaire, patriot. Would you like to help us out with a little ruse we're pulling on the Ruskies?" And he was like, "Fuck, yes, I would." I'm like, okay. So you're going to have this really expensive boat you're going to need called the Glomar Explorer. Go ahead and get on that right away. We're going to recover a Russian nuclear submarine, but we're going to pretend like you're out there mining, and you've invented some new crazy gold mining technique where you're going to get gold off the bottom of the ocean floor, and people will go, "Oh, that Howard Hughes," and then the news cameras will leave us alone so that we can grab with the a James Bond manacle type thing on the bottom of this boat, a Russian nuclear submarine, and haul it back up. And they did. They did all of that.
The Russians didn't know that's where their sub was?
We had found it. The Russians hadn't. They didn't know where it, when it goes
I'd be
down.
really suspicious if I knew I lost a nuclear submarine somewhere off the coast of, say, New Jersey, and then suddenly Howard Hughes starts mining there. I'm like, it's fishy.
I would have put those pieces together.
They didn't know where their boat was, though, but we did.
Okay.
And so, like hauling it up, though, it broke apart. It broke in half, and only half of it came up, and then the rest sort of spilled out. But we did that thing where we recorded the respectful burial of their men and sent it to them afterwards. So they were like, "What the fuck? You found it?" And they already buried our guys, and I can't even feel bad. Look at them saluting our flag. God damn it. But they, it's
Clever.
Still, I think, classified how much they got out of there. If they got the code books, a nuclear submarine captain has a lot of high security code books and stuff for checking to see if this strike is real or maybe just just the command codes and stuff, but also whatever coding machine they had down there. They would have had a typewriter or whatever, or a computer system of some kind where when you punched J, it put out a fucking code. They had like an Enigma type machine or whatever, and that's what they were after. That and their code books and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Howard Hughes is awesome.
Red October is one of those movies that like I can flip on the TV at any stage in that movie and end up watching the whole movie, even though I've seen it like 40 times.
Red October.
It's great. It's just one of those movies. I don't even know what it is about it. Just never get tired of that kind of stuff.
The Russians versus Scotland.
That's what they have, a Scottish. Bless his heart, trying to do that Russian accent. That's a good movie though. Defecting nuclear submarine captain. They're all sitting around like, where are you going to retire to? I was thinking New Jersey, the Garden State.
I love it.
The Garden State.
Yeah, they're all figuring out what kind of sweet package they're going to get from the Americans for turning over a nuclear submarine.
I mean, I'm sure we would give a pretty sweet package.
Oh,
for
of
that.
course, for sure.
They could
I'm
settle
sure
in
we've
whatever
done that
state they
before.
want. And we'd probably put them like up in Alaska somewhere where it's like, let's put them somewhere that if they do start talking a little too much, we,
They
wanted
can
to go to
escape right
Montana.
back home.
I feel like they could pull that off. Montana, Wyoming.
yeah, put them
You
up
can
there.
have it.
Yeah, they have a little farm.
Oh yeah, a guy with that accent's not going to stick out at all in Wyoming.
There's nobody else in Wyoming. He's not going
I'm sticking
to
that.
stick out.
That's the problem. I'm sticking that motherfucker in like a real bustling city where there might be some
Oh,
Russians and
I
shit
see
like
the
that, or
logic.
some Germans.
Yeah.
or
Oh, you're
whatever.
gonna like hide them in Russia Town in New
Imagine
York. Imagine
being the only Russian in Wyoming. Hello, friends,
Comrades.
American friends. Yes.
howdy. Yeah.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw, my fellow American friends. Oh, don't
Yeah.
we all hate those Ruskies?
So this is a story that I don't think I've ever told this story on any other channel anywhere else, but it involves a Russian guy in New York, and it's one of the most gangster stories I've ever experienced. So I'm dating somebody at the time, and we go to New York City, and we get like an Airbnb somewhere because it's hotels are $500 a night. We find this pretty decent Airbnb. It's like 5th floor walk up somewhere off, kind of near Central Park, etc. Get there, and there's this younger Russian guy that's renting the place, and he's a nice guy. He speaks pretty good English. He's got, it's a little simple, little tiny apartment. He said his girlfriend had to go back to Russia for her. He's Russian. His girlfriend's Russian. She had to go back to Russia to do whatever with her passport. You got to be like 6 months here. You got to go back for a certain amount of time before you can come back. She's gone. He's renting the room out for some extra money. All right, great. Sounds awesome. Nice guy. Recommends some like restaurants and that sort of. There's kind of a Russian neighborhood there, and he recommends some restaurants. He's like, tell them I sent you, and they'll take care of you. And sure enough, you walk in the door. I can't remember the guy's name, but you just mention his name. They're like, oh, here's a great seat. Oh, here, this is on us. And they were just super nice. Like wherever this guy, just mention this dude's name, just like open doors and shit. So I'm there for like 4 or 5 days, and he's gone like he's like seems to like sleep during the daytime. I'd hear these like tense phone conversations in Russian kind of through the wall, and then he would just like go out the door. He'd leave.
That
like,
doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he would just leave at like 3 o'clock in the morning. He said he was in catering. He'd leave at like 3 in the morning and then come back at like 6 in the morning.
Classic
Whatever.
catering hours.
So I see him go out one day, and his girlfriend, he said, was an artist. And of course, being an artist myself, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. There's all these art books on the shelves. There's like one of those big, like the plastic tube, you carry paintings in. I used to use that in art school. There's an easel and some other shit around there. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, I noticed one day that the art tube has been moved. Oh, that's okay. That's kind of weird. Whatever. It's his place. My girlfriend is in the shower, and I'm thinking, I'm going to go see what Russian art books look like. So I open one of the books up, and the covers of like the little slip cover on all the books are like art books, but inside it was all these like ballistic books and like military tactics and like camouflage and all these like, I shoot guns, but there's the guys that are doing those, 2,500 yard shots, calculating the rotation of the earth, that kind of stuff. Books are like full of that kind of math, all in Russian. And I'm like, whoa, this is pretty crazy here. I kind of put it back in my mind. I'm like already starting to like put together like in my mind,
He's
like, okay, this guy's a hitman or something. But I'm like, if he's a Russian hitman, why would he be renting his spare bedroom out on Airbnb? Like, you'd think that pays enough that he's probably good. So anyway, so I think, okay, that's kind of funny. He must just be into guns, and maybe Russia's not down with that, so they hide him into art books, whatever. I'm not getting his business. So she and I continue to have our trip in New York, doing our thing, and he comes and goes a couple other times.
You got my book?
Yeah. So he leaves. He's got this really nice Mercedes, by the way. He's like kind of parked out on the street out front, like the big black 2-door coupe, And I'm thinking, all right, this guy's balling it. So he's gone. We're checking out, and like it was like a kind of an atrium staircase. You can kind of look down and see all the stairs, like 5 stories down. And as we're leaving, it's like leave the door, lock the door on your way out, leave the key on the table. She's out in the hallway, and I'm like, hey, look down the stairs and tell me if this dude's coming or not, because it's like this tiny, tiny little apartment. The painting tube is over in the corner, just leaned up against like the little shelf where he keeps all the painting tube. Stuff. I take my shirt and I undo the
roll one up and stick it into it.
Well, no, it's like the plastic one, like about that big around, like with a cap on the end. You like roll the painting up. It's like a plastic tube.
Oh, like for shipping. Okay.
Yeah. So I take my shirt, so it's like not leaving any fingerprints, and I unscrew the cap on the paint tube carrier, and it's the freaking butt of a rifle stock. I'm like, whoa! I screwed it back down, didn't touch anything, out the door, great review, wonderful guy, had a great time, Airbnb, 5 stars, whatever. Never heard another word about it.
You're sweating, signing the guest book.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm writing my neighbor's address in the guest book. And again, super nice guy. Maybe he just likes to do marksmanship. I have no idea.
Probably.
And
you don't know what the butt looked like, do you? Was it a rubber butt pad or?
I honestly, the moment I saw it, it was your blood runs cold. The moment I just saw the wood and whatever the end of it was, I was just like, oh, done, out of here. And being very careful not to have disturbed anything else. And again, it's been a decade and since that incident and whatever that dude was into, but I'm still maintaining that I rented an Airbnb from a Russian hitman.
That's a good friend to have. Shout out to that guy. Hope everything's going well.
Hey, exactly. Whatever.
Could have been a Red Dawn scenario. You never know. Could have been a Red Dawn scenario.
It could have been. But either way, he was a nice dude. Kept up a good Airbnb. I gave him 5 stars.
Good move.
Better.
Snitches get stitches. So and of course, the cities and details may or may not have been changing that story just because I want to be as far away from that as possible. But
Taylor, can you imagine how awkward that would be if you're asleep in your Airbnb bed and you just awakened by a light in your face? You move my book.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
My book, I noticed.
But the one full of ballistics, Matt? No.
I always put a page in some way. Put a little piece of paper on the floor.
This is crazy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I always take piece of girlfriend's hair, lick it, put it on top of my painting tube because I, paranoid about my artwork. And if I see the hair gone because I've done this dozens of times, I know, my goodness, someone has been in my things. You wouldn't have happened to touch anything, would you?
That was the building supervisor came in. I think that was him.
You'd be like, damn, do you think maybe my girlfriend's been going through your shit?
You don't think I did hear my ex talking about this.
I
throw it right under the bus. Me and Igor is gonna have to take care of this thing.
No, not me. And I actually, I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to tell you about
she goes through my shit too.
Yeah.
Women, I tell you.
I also put a hair on top of my shaving kit.
I'm land of the free home of the brave guy, and you're a clear American.
Exactly. And I just thought you wanted my phone password. Yeah, that's the one plot hole in the story, though, is he had his own bedroom. He had the little room that was supposedly his girlfriend's art studio with the futon where we stayed. The art tube was in the sort of kitchen / living room / entryway area. If I had a sketchy gun, my sketchy guns are hidden where I live. If I had a sketchy gun, I would not leave it out in a public space.
Where do you keep your sketchy guns, Taylor?
I don't have any sketchy guns.
Good answer.
Yeah.
All my sketchy guns got stolen.
What is a sketchy gun?
You know what a sketchy gun is.
Oh, just an illegal gun. Yeah.
It's the kind you've done some shit to that'll give you 10 years.
Guns aren't sketchy. People are sketchy.
Exactly. Well, and there can be sketchy guns where like nothing's illegal about the gun, but it's not registered to you. Like, you know, you bought it from your friend's brother for cash, that kind of thing. And so that's kind of sketchy, but not like if they raided your house, they could get you on the folding stock or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know sketchy gun law. I don't have any sketchy guns.
I had to de-sketchify one of my guns. I had a bump stock, and Trump made him illegal.
Son of a bitch. That fat fuck. Ruining our fun with
I saw the latest I heard from him that was anything good. He said he was not going to tax tips anymore. So literally everyone in the service industry was going to get a no more taxes for them.
It's a move to carry Vegas. Vegas is a swing state where tips are a very important part of income.
Huge.
So I mean, we all know where I stand, but I still don't deny clever moves when they're clever moves. And it's
that's smart. A good one. Yeah. And then Biden said medical debt will no longer appear on credit reports. And also, it's like, that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Keep going, boys. That's how the American public should be.
Now is the season of lies.
Be like, what else you got?
No, I don't think
them
Biden's
debating.
lying. I think
we should be like, well, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward Trump. How about you guys? Yeah. What can you do for us, Biden? Maybe bring us back over to your side. Oh, well, maybe we could just lower everybody's taxes. Maybe yours in particular. Oh, Biden's want to be back. Let's talk numbers.
Specific plan to lower swing voters' taxes.
Yeah,
that's what Trump did with the coal support. It was a swing voter move.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah,
that's what they do.
I'm not against the coal thing. You know, like coal.
It's the most expensive form of energy. Well, maybe behind nuclear, I think. Second most.
Is
expensive.
it really?
Yeah,
I believe if you say it's true.
I think so,
I'm just wondering. I guess it is the most labor. Clearly, it is. It's the most labor intensive by far. Everything else is pressurized underground and is bursting at the seams to get out of the ground. And coal's down there hiding out. And you got to send dudes in a whole fucking hole.
Yeah, but imagine if we could, we just had magic metals that could boil water forever
just by existing. What boils the water, Timmy? Well, it exists. And so the water boils. We don't got to burn coal? Nope. Well, it must burn out quick, huh? Well, that's the thing, Timmy. It lasts years.
I don't know what nuclear is the other one that's very expensive, though.
I think it's mostly expensive because there's so many like regulations around it trying to keep people from going that direction. There's more money.
Incentivize people the way that we have solar and wind, like all that money that's gone into incentivize isn't the word I'm looking for, but it's the practice.
Subsidized.
It's tricky. I'm not against nuclear. I think it's a clean way to get energy tonight, and I like that aspect of it. I don't trust industry to behave responsibly if we don't oversee them. Right. Industry has proven time and time again that if you don't put these guardrails on the way they behave, they'll behave in the worst, cheapest way possible.
You know, I solved the nuclear thing like 8 years ago.
You solved it?
Yeah, I solved
it. Yeah. So the problem, you're welcome. They won't listen to me. I've been writing letters. So hear me out. The problem every time we've had a nuclear disaster is, but for one reason or another, the rods got too hot. They ran out of water. They couldn't keep the thing cooled down, so it melted down, and then there was a fire, and then that created a steam explosion. The roof blows off, and then you got some elephant's foot poisoning half of Europe. But why don't we build the whole thing under the ocean? Why is it the whole thing under the ocean, where even if you have a radiological disaster, it's just absorbed by the ocean?
It's probably going to fuck up a lot of fish, which is better than people.
No, they're fine. Like seawater is like really good at absorbing radiation. Like they're fine.
Oh, well, that's all. Then sold.
It doesn't seem like a way to lower the cost.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be way more expensive. They're so much more expensive that it just barely makes money.
The ocean tears up everything, but
because that's how you get expensive energy.
Yeah. But I see what you're talking about, though. I mean,
we get an aqua lab down there, though, boys. We get sea people down there. That's what I've always wanted. I would be a sea miner if I got to be like the abyss. I want to be down there under the ocean on the ocean floor because that's as close to another planet. That's as close to another planet as any of us are ever going to get is the bottom of the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
I would get in that new Sea Explorer thing that's not powered by an Xbox controller if I could get a seat in that thing. I bet the seats are cheap because what happened to the last people that went on that ride?